Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the main news on Camnet TV, coming to you live on Topstar channel 106 on Kenstream app. We are also streaming live on our social media platforms, Facebook, that is at Camnet TV, as well as on our YouTube channel, Camnet TV. Here are the headlines in our news tonight. Police arrest media personality Faith MUSONDA for disorderly conduct at President's residence. Socialist Party gives ACC 48-hour ultimatum to disclose findings in Ministers' Solicitor General investigations. Government releases 400 million kwacha CDF, sets 48-hour utilization deadline. In international news, Iran reportedly suspends cooperation with UN nuclear watchdog. And in sports news, Juventus manager IGOR reviews players struggled with heat in Club World Cup defeat. To join me with the details shortly after this break.
Immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
With the news in detail, my name is Sylvia Zulu. The Socialist Party has given the Anti-Corruption Commission, SCC, 48-hour ultimatum to disclose findings from investigations involving senior government officials, including ministers and the Solicitor General, who are confirmed to be under probe a year ago. Party National Youth Secretary Stanley Mubasa says it is unacceptable that the SCC has remained silent on matters of high public interest. He notes that in 2024, SCC Acting Director General Monica Chipanta Mwansa informed the nation that certain cabinet ministers and the Solicitor General were under investigation for alleged corrupt practices, yet no outcome has been shared to date. Mr. Murasa stresses that the fight against corruption must not be conducted in secrecy, warning that failure to release the findings erodes public trust. He cited the case of Solicitor General Marshal Mujende, who was forced to withdraw a lawsuit against legal scholar Dr. Obrian Kaba after Kaba alleged that state chambers were at the heart of large-scale corruption. The ACC confirmed Mujende was under investigation but has provided no further details since. The Socialist Party has since urged the ACC to demonstrate its independence and commitment to the rule of law by publicly naming all individuals implicated in the probe.
Matter where the ACC had confirmed last year that the ACC was investigating ministers and the Solicitor General. So it has been now a year since that announcement was made last year, and no answers have been given, no disclosure was made to this very day. So we thought that we should write to the ACC to disclose and tell the Zambians how far that institution has gone in terms of investigations. Who are those that are corrupt among the ministers? What are the findings in relation to the entanglement that we saw the Solicitor General being mentioned by Dr. Kaba, that he was weaponizing his position to cut deals? We feel that the fight against corruption should not be corrupt. The fight against corruption should not be corrupt, but should be a genuine one. And therefore, the general public has a right to know what is happening and what are the findings in relation to those in government, including those in the inner circle of the president. It can't only be the fight against corruption or a crusade against corruption for those that are outside government. It should also be for those that are in government. And if they are mentioned, we have to begin seeing them fired, or in cases where they, on moral grounds, they should be able to resign. And we have, continuously demanded for some of these individuals to be fired, especially those that have been mentioned. For example, the Solicitor General to say he should have been fired by the President to pave way for investigation. But the President has refused. The ACC also chose to go quiet instead of naming and shaming those involved. So a year of investigations, honestly, does it make sense? Is that how we're going to be fighting corruption? It can't be. There is no way that the fight against corruption can be done in secret, as if they are drug lords that are exchanging drugs for cash in secrecy.
Climate smart agriculture expert Dr. Oliver Bulaya has described the closure of U.S. aid operations in Zambia as a major setback to the country's agricultural development, warning that critical support to smallholder farmers and agri-based businesses will be lost. This follows an announcement by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio that effectively July 1st, U.S. aid will cease foreign assistance programs, with responsibilities shifted to the State Department as part of a broader U.S. policy shift prioritizing trade over aid. Dr. Bulaya noted that U.S. aid has been instrumental in supporting climate-resilient agriculture, food security, and rural livelihoods across Zambia. He further highlighted the agency's role in building capacity among farmers through training in sustainable farming, financial literacy, and access to credit. Dr. Bulaya has further called on Zambian NGOs and development agencies to urgently rethink their operational models.
The U.S. aid interventions in Zambia has supported enormous structures to do with various agricultural value chains. We've seen a lot of contributions, especially by NGOs, in enhancing agricultural advancement and also in terms of economic growth, for the country. In the sense that NGOs have been among the largest, employers and contributors in terms of taxation, and with the removal of U.S. aid, it entails that there must be evaluation in terms of shifting the way NGOs operate, in our country. We need to look at modalities to sustain our own operations, through partnerships, with businesses that support our interventions. And we need to look at innovations and strategies, with appropriate income generating modalities, to sustain our operations. With this prevailing situation, NGOs should look beyond entirely cooperating partner support and look at how best they can move in terms of ensuring that they sustain their operations.
Opposition Citizens First Party President Harry Kalaba has called for the resignation of Republican President Hakainde Hichilema, accusing him of violating the Constitution. Addressing the media today, Mr. Kalaba criticized the proposed constitutional amendment process, alleging it was undertaken without adequate consultation with key stakeholders, a move he described as unconstitutional. He added that the process goes against President Hichilema's campaign pledge to uphold and defend the Constitution. Mr. Kalaba further questioned why the head of state continues to preside over a cabinet that, in his view, sanctioned an illegality. The opposition leader also urged President Hichilema to fully respect the Constitutional Court's ruling regarding the controversial Bill number 7 of 2025.
For the record, all constitutional amendments carried out by past governments involved broad-based consultation, save for the 1991 amendments, which did not require further consultation, as they were in direct response to citizens' calls for a return to multi-partyism. To use this as a justification for the UPND to pursue constitutional amendments without consensus is reckless. We demand that Mr. Hichilema takes time to read the Constitutional Court judgment that rendered Bill 7 an illegal act. Having done that, we call upon him to resign for presiding over a cabinet that approved an illegality. A president takes an oath to protect the constitution of Zambia, not to cannibalize or outdirect or adulterate it through illegal means. We also call upon foreign dignitaries who have chosen to look the other way while the UPND abrogates the law to reflect on the impact of their silence. It is sad to note that some diplomats accredited to Zambia viewed the Bosch Bill 7 as an internal process requiring no intervention or condemnation. While we appreciate the intervention by the Constitutional Court, we can only pray that going forward, diplomats will speak truth to government and call them out when they breach the Constitution.
Government has disbursed 400 million kwacha towards the Constituents Development Fund (CDF) to support developmental activities across the country. Speaking at a major briefing in Lusaka, Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary for Administration, Dr. Gabriel Pollen, also announced the release of an additional 333 million kwacha for the Cash for Work program aimed at creating employment opportunities through community-driven projects. Dr. Pollen has since directed all local authorities to utilize the funds within 48 hours, citing a circular that has already been issued to councils. The directive comes in response to concerns by the Ministry of Finance over unutilized CDF funds that have remained idle in bank accounts, delaying service delivery. He emphasized that the timely use of the funds is crucial to ensuring that citizens quickly benefit from the government development agenda. Dr. Pollen noted that the move is part of a broader effort to streamline the implementation and oversight of CDF projects and ensure that public resources are effectively used to improve livelihoods and infrastructure in constituencies nationwide.
As of yesterday, 1st of July 2025, the ministry received 400 million kwacha as funding for CDF across the country. In addition, 333 million kwacha was released by the Ministry of Finance and National Planning towards the Cash for Work program. As you're aware, the Constituent Development Fund program is essentially aimed at decentralizing development initiatives of the government at the local level. And we know that substantial resources have been rolled out, and the ministry continues to release resources as and when need arises in accordance with what resources are budgeted for in a particular year. So we take this opportunity to urge the local authorities as well to expedite utilization of these funds. We issued a circular not long ago encouraging local authorities to use the funds within the shortest possible period of time. This is in line, indeed, with the concerns that were raised by the Ministry of Finance and National Planning in respect of unutilized CDF funds. CDF funds that are sitting dormant, CDF funds that are sitting in bank accounts. So we have issued a circular to guide the local authorities to help them ensure that they utilize this fund within the shortest possible period of time. If anything, we've given them 48 hours within which to spend that money and cause a report to be written within 72 hours of receiving those funds. So this is to ensure that we streamline the implementation and utilization of CDF resources.
Police have arrested media personality Faith MUSONDA for disorderly conduct in the early hours of Tuesday near President Hakainde Hichilema's private residence in New Kasama, Lusaka. The Zambia Police Service disclosed that Ms. Musonda, 41, of Chalala, was apprehended between 00:30 and 01 hours after she allegedly caused a disturbance at the community house while driving a Toyota Fortuner bearing registration number BBA 8874. Members of staff at the premises reportedly confronted her before police officers arrived to detain her. Zambia Police Assistant Public Relations Officer Godfrey Chilabi confirmed that Musonda is currently in custody at Woodlands Police Station and is expected to appear in court soon. She will face a charge of idle and disorderly conduct contrary to Section 178, Clause F, Chapter 87 of the Penal Code of the Laws of Zambia.
The Zambia Police Service wishes to confirm that officers at Woodlands Police Station in Lusaka have apprehended Faith Musonda, age 41, and the resident of Chalala in Lusaka for disorderly conduct. Brief facts of the matter are that on July 2, 2025, between 00:30 and 01 hours, the suspect, while driving a Toyota Fortuner bearing registration number BBA 8874, went to the community house in New Kasama residential area. Upon being approached by members of the staff, she allegedly conducted herself in a disruptive manner. Police officers swiftly apprehended the suspect, who is currently detained in police custody. She will be charged with the offense of idle and disorderly conduct, contrary to Section 178F, Chapter 87 of the Penal Code of the Laws of Zambia, and is expected to appear in court soon.
Good governance advocate Fabian Mutale has called on Zambians to seize the deferment of Bill number 7 of 2025 and the recent Constitutional Court ruling as the timely opportunity to engage in meaningful national dialogue on the constitutional amendment process. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Mutale emphasized the importance of citizen participation in shaping public policy. He said that lasting and inclusive reforms can only be achieved if citizens actively take part in decisions that affect the country's governance and future. Mr. Mutale further urged all stakeholders who were previously aggrieved or who felt that the timing of the bill was inappropriate to voice their views now. He stressed that silence at this critical juncture would risk a repeat of past mistakes and missed opportunities for broad consensus.
The deferment of the Bill 7 by government and the ruling from the Concord thereof is an opportunity for all stakeholders, Zambians and well-meaning citizens to come forward and ensure that we participate in the formulation of rules that we prescribe for ourselves. I appeal to every Zambian to come forward and ensure that they look critically at these documents that are prepared by politicians who we have given responsibility to preside over our affairs. It is an opportunity for all those that were aggrieved, sang loudest on the mountains that the intentions of government were not good. Equally, those that thought the timing was wrong, even those that thought the processes were not inclusive. It is an opportunity now. Let's rise to the occasion and ensure that we participate fully so that every document that will be presented before Parliament for enactment would have our aspirations as well as our interest at heart.
Economist Calvin Chisanga has urged the government to implement national budgets that do not require supplementary allocations, warning that continued mid-year adjustments signal weak fiscal planning and undermine budget credibility. Mr. Chisanga was reacting to the recently announced 33.6 billion kwacha supplementary budget tabled by Finance Minister Dr. Stumbekwa Msokotwane in Parliament. He acknowledged the economic pressures facing the the country, including fuel arrears, debt servicing, and food security, but stressed that better forecasting and discipline in public financial management could reduce the need for such large-scale revisions. He added that while the 2025 supplementary budget is aimed at addressing urgent fiscal gaps and supporting vulnerable sectors such as agriculture and social protection, reliance on domestic borrowing to fund nearly half of the additional spending could exert pressure on the financial markets and crowd out private sector lending.
Supplementary budget speaks of inadequacy in terms of planning. So this actually calls for us to start looking at how best can we put a realistic view of policies and incentives, including tax structures, so that we can actually meet up the expected expenditure versus the revenue side of income. Meaning what we need to do is to do an holistic view when we are doing the planning of the main budget, because having to consider supplementary midway, and for that matter, if you look at the last year's budget, we had two supplementary budget which actually concerns the current situation that we should be able to see also. Of course, some of these are things that can come as a result of eventual or sudden occurrences, but again, there is a need for us to have a framework which should be able to be sustainable and also sustained from a point of the occurrence of our budget planning implementation process. Meaning what we should be able to see is that each year that comes, there must be an objective policy guideline which should be able to speak into exactness of certain allocation, even despite when the microeconomic environment may be able to change. Like, for example, we may talk of inflation to be steady, but because of certain moderation, then we need to also have allocation and allowance also that should be able to speak into some of those changes.
The Lusaka City Council, LCC, has warned against the illegal parking of motorcycles, buses and other equipment on road islands within the Central Business District, CBD, particularly along Cairo Road and Freedom Way. LCC Assistant Public Relations Manager Nyambe Bulumba says the council has noted with concern the growing trend, describing it as a violation of city regulations that threatens public order and contributes to the deterioration of vital road infrastructure. He says the local authority will intensify patrols in affected areas and enforce strict compliance with municipal laws. Mr. Bulumba adds that individuals found violating the directive will be apprehended and prosecuted through the fast-track court system to ensure swift justice. LCC has since urged members of the public to cooperate with city authorities and follow designated parking regulations.
The council wishes to send a strong warning against individuals in the habit of parking motorcycles and other equipment on road islands within the central business, them to ensure that they immediately cease, the practice. We have observed with concern a growing trend of illegal parking, especially along Cairo Road and Freedom Way, a situation that we feel undermines public order and infrastructure. We are of the view that such activities significantly contribute to the deterioration of road infrastructure and contradict the city's green and health agenda. And to ensure that we address this situation, we will intensify patrols in affected areas to enforce compliance and ensure that we bring this unlawful behavior to an end. We will further ensure that those found in contravention of this particular directive be apprehended and brought before the fast-track court for possible prosecution. And in addition, we will commence soon the installation of concrete pavings on road islands in the CBD, to start with Cairo Road and Freedom Way, to ensure that we enhance urban order and preserve public infrastructure.
Chita Mbeya Mukwangole Delivery Special for Enhanced Public Services has expressed satisfaction with the positive impact the Constituents Development Fund CDF is having on the lives of residents in Mongu Central constituency and surrounding areas. Speaking after inspecting a number of ongoing and completed projects, Ms. Mukwangole commended the utilization of CDF resources in Mongu, noting that the initiatives are significantly improving access to essential services. She urged residents to take an active role in identifying and prioritizing projects that address their community needs. Meanwhile, Mongu Municipal Council Town Clerk Oliver Muka reaffirmed the local authorities' commitment to the successful implementation of CDF-funded projects.
A team from the Presidential Delivery Unit is in Western Province to assess and inspect the key projects funded by the Constituents Development Fund, among other activities. The team inspected the 3 projects, which includes Kasima Bulk Market, Mongu Central Market Shelter, and the Maternity Annex at the Rute Clinic, awaiting to be equipped with medical equipment. Delivery Special for Enhanced Public Services, Mbeya Mukwangole, with her counterpart who is monitoring and evaluation specialist Tobias Miguel, expressed satisfaction with how Constituents Development Fund is improving lives in Mongu Central constituents.
The Presidential Delivery Unit is in Western Province to carry out a number of activities, one of which is the orientation of the Ministerial Delivery Unit to ensure that they're oriented into the delivery culture. We are also looking at some CDF projects that have been implemented in Mongu district so far. So CDF is actually changing lives in the community. So for the Presidential Delivery Unit, we would want to encourage the people in the community to get involved in their own development.
And the Mongu Municipal Council Town Clerk Oliver Muka attributed on the scope of work.
The construction is complete, so the remaining phase is to make this facility operational. We have the equipment already secured. Within the course of the week, we should be able to bring the equipment so that the facility can be fully operational. Just to say that as a council, we are on course in implementing the various CDF projects. In various sectors, we have done CDF projects under the roads, crossing points, health, education, markets, and so forth. So we are on course. So we just want to assure the community of Mongu that we are equal to the task and we give them the basic facilities.
Meanwhile, others who spoke are Jennifer Masie of Irute resident and Muzumi Simono, a volunteer at Irute Health Center.
Kwamugoso otilewo kumugosho omundosi naketulwa kuno lunyanda kwanuluna kwa Irute pepa banana kwa jukundi bali wanika wala kulifa kerubona kuli zero pilikele italundi.
We do really appreciate for the government for opening out, building the maternity annex to help the community, because the community was facing a lot of challenges in terms of delivery.
Musiabo Kavira, Camnet News in Mongu District, Western Province.
Mongu police, through the investigation officers, have recovered several stolen items in Lumulunga area, popularly known as the Dark City, worth thousands of kwacha. Speaking during the display of the stolen items, Western Province Police Division Commissioner David Chileshe said on the 22nd and 1st July, officers from Mongu Central Police conducted an investigation patrol and discovered several stolen items. In another development, Mongu Central Police received a report of murder where one male was stabbed to death by junkies in Lumulunga area, popularly known as the Dark City. Mr. Chileshe is appealing to the general public to desist from buying things from criminals and encourage the public to be buying from established places. He further encouraged parents to be vigilant on the movement of their children.
We wish to report that Mongu Central Police, between 22nd June 2025 and 1st July 2025, our investigators at Mongu Police Station conducted investigations into various cases of aggravated robberies, 2 of which our female officers were attacked, and members of the public and other members of the public were also attacked, and various property stolen from them by criminals who are commonly referred to as junkies. We wish to inform the public that after successful investigations, the suspects who were apprehended led the police to recovery of an initial 2 cell phones. 1 male Obi Ngombe of Mongu Harbor, 16 assorted smartphones, 12 smartphone screens, 1 police radio, 1 CCTV camera, assorted phone accessories, and 1 HP laptop. We are doing everything possible to make sure that we maintain our city free of crime. Mongu Police Station received a report of murder in which Mrs. Pumulo Mubita, aged 36, of Dark City, commonly known as Mulambwa, reported that her son, Meo Kalimbwe Musangu, aged 22, of the same abode, was stabbed to death by a known person identified as Meo Derek Mukungu, also of Dark City compound. The victim sustained a deep cut on his chest and died on the way to Lewanika General Hospital. We hereby urge members of the public to desist from buying goods from criminals. Instead, they are encouraged to buy from established places and dealers. We also wish to inform parents to keep watch of the movements of their children. As we have seen, these boys were moving around after midnight, close to midnight. This is the time that children are supposed to be safely in their homes. But
you're watching the main news on Camnet TV. We'll now take a break.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flavor. From crispy chips to creamy mash, potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen. Grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Palavana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right Healthy, big and tasty. For that quick fix or big celebration or that meal that brings family together, top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Thank you so much for staying with us. In international news, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has reportedly ordered the suspension of his country's cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, following recent US airstrikes on key nuclear sites. State media announced the move Wednesday, citing a previously passed law by Iran's parliament calling for the halt in collaboration. That legislation had already been approved by the country's constitutional watchdog. The development raises fresh concerns over Iran's nuclear transparency, though it remains unclear how the IAEA will respond or how the suspension will affect the ongoing monitoring efforts. Here is a roundup of international news.
Iranian president has reportedly ordered the suspension of its country's cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, following recent US airstrikes on key nuclear sites. State media announced the move on Wednesday, citing a previous passed law by Iran's parliament calling for the out in collaboration. That legislation had already been approved by the country's constitutional watchdog. The development raises fresh concerns over Iran's nuclear transparency, though it remains unclear how the Atomic Energy Agency will respond or how the suspension will affect ongoing monitoring efforts. The Geneva-based agency has yet to issue an official comment.
Children's lives under threat in the conflict zones of the Middle East and North Africa. According to UNICEF, a child is displaced through conflict every 5 seconds in the region, and every 15 minutes another one is injured or killed. These statistics have mostly been fueled by the war Israel has been waging in the Gaza Strip. An estimated 50,000 children in the zone were killed or injured until the end of May, and many more are displaced and face alarming rates of malnutrition, according to NGOs. UNICEF also warned that 2024 was one of the worst years ever for children living in conflict zones. In the Middle East and North Africa, nearly 110 million children currently live in countries affected by conflict. The consequences are wide-reaching. Access to healthcare, education or food is not guaranteed. Many of these children are not only stripped of safety, but also of their future. It was one of the first goals of the new US government. The US Agency for International Development was officially closed down on Tuesday. This marks the end of 6 decades of funding and leading development programs around the globe.
I've had heads of state say to me, the most important institution for us in Washington is not the Defense Department or the CIA or the State Department or the White House or the Congress. It's AID because we're a developing country. We need help in the development process.
USAID was established in 1961 under the government of John F. Kennedy. The agency has supported countless programs, ranging from fighting poverty to improving agriculture and saving millions of lives around the world.
I think we've lost the humanitarian instinct, the humanitarian imperative in the U.S. government by shutting AID down. And I think people in the developing world will see that, or they already see it in many areas of the world. I think there's a lot of anger toward the United States because of this, what's happened to AID.
A new study published in the US journal The Lancet on Monday found that as many as 14 million people could lose their lives if US cuts to humanitarian aid continue until 2030.
Juventus manager Igor TUDOR has spoken about the challenging conditions faced by his team during their 1-0 defeat to Real Madrid in the Club World Cup. The match was played in hot and humid conditions in Miami, with temperatures reaching 30 degrees Celsius and humidity at 70%. TUDOR revealed that the extreme heat took a toll to his players, saying in the end 10 players had to be substituted. The exhaustion was incredible. He attributed the players' fatigue to the tension of the match, the heat and humidity had. The Club World Cup has been affected by extreme heat in the US, with other teams and managers also struggling with the conditions. Borussia Dortmund manager Niko Kovac described sweating, profusely describing his team's match, while Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca found it impossible to conduct normal training sessions due to a code red heat warning. To mitigate the effect of heat stress, FIFA guidelines mandate cooling breaks while the wet bulb globe temperature WBGT exceeds 32 degrees Celsius. However, Players Union FIFPro has suggested introducing breaks at a lower threshold of 28 degrees Celsius and delaying matches if the WBGT exceeds 32 degrees Celsius. That's it for our main news tonight. Here is a recap of the stories making headlines. Police arrest media personality Faith MUSONDA for disorderly conduct at President's residence. Socialist Party gives SEC 48-hour ultimatum to disclose findings in Ministers' Solicitor General investigations. Government releases 400 million kwacha CDF, says 48-hour utilization deadline. In international news, Iran reportedly suspends cooperation with UN nuclear watchdog. And in sports news, Juventus manager Igor TUDOR reviews players struggled with heat in Club World Cup defeat. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, coming from the book of 1 Corinthians 2, verse 16. For who has known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct him? But he has the mind of Christ. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Sylvia Zulu. Remember, you have been catching us live on Top Search on the 106 on Kenstream app, on Facebook, Camnet TV, as well as on our YouTube channel, Camnet TV. Thank you so much for watching. Good night, and God bless you all.
TV, not just another channel.